Well, hey there, pastors and ministry leaders. In this training video, Pastor John and I want to walk through with you what we call a mentor rally and the 4 purposes for a rally like this. Now, John, before we get into all of these details, what exactly are we talking about when we say mentor rally? So how do you do that at your church? Who do you invite to that? What is a mentor rally before we dive into the weeds and talk about the purposes?
That's great, Brian. Yeah, we feel like these mentor rallies have been really catalytic towards helping to create the discipleship culture at our church. And so the first thing is, who do you invite? Well, I think anyone who's actively involved in mentoring at your church is someone that you should invite, whether that's one-on-one mentoring, whether that's your small group leaders, whether that's your youth leaders, your kids' church director, however you have it set up at your particular church as far as who's leading the charge for mentoring. But then also anyone who is maybe investigating this idea of mentoring, because it's a great way for them to rub shoulders with people who are actually doing it, people who are in the game, so to speak. And if you're a Pursue God church and you're likely using the Pursuit, I would also encourage you to invite anyone who has completed the Pursuit. And we want to make these events fun. We want to make these events high energy. So whether that is, great food, or great worship to kick it off, or whatever that means for your church, this is something that we want people to be excited about attending.
So, John, what we're talking about is you're discipling someone, you're finishing the pursuit, you're inviting them to the mentor rally at your church, which gives them an opportunity to interact with other mentors, with your pastoral team, even before they ever start discipling anyone, right?
Right, exactly. It gives them a chance, as we talk about the purposes of the rally here in just a minute, it gives them a chance to see the vision, to hear the vision repeatedly, to stay excited about it. Because we all know how it is. We've taken people through the pursuit and you get through lesson 12 and there is a sense of excitement, and we want to capitalize on that, because let's say it takes them a couple of months before they're able to get a handoff or they're able to initiate a mentoring relationship on their own. We want them to stay engaged in the meantime.
All right, so walk us through these 4 purposes of a rally like this. And here they are in brief: vision, encouragement, training, and connecting. Help us with each one of these. Let's start with vision.
Yeah, so it gives you an opportunity to recast vision every time you're together. And I think there are a couple of levels of that. So for example, why do we do discipleship in the first place? Why is this important? Not only because it's a commandment, because God told us to do it, but because the world needs it. This gives you a chance to even recast the vision of why you do things at your church the way that you do them, because discipleship, because mentoring is the win. But then also casting vision on what I might call the administration level or procedural level. So for example, as a Pursue God church, if you're using the milestones to track progress, again, the opportunity to recast that vision. Hey, here's why it's important to fill out the milestone log, guys, because it gives us an opportunity to pray for you. It gives us an opportunity to better support you in your mentoring. So casting vision at all different levels, from the overarching vision of, hey, we're a church that's serious about making disciples, to even casting the vision about the procedures and some of the techniques that you use at your church.
Okay, so then, John, the second purpose is encouragement. Okay, so what do you mean by that? Who are you encouraging and how are you doing it?
So we're mainly encouraging people who are either actively in the game, right, who are mentoring, or maybe those people who are in that transition period like we talked about, that they've finished the pursuit, they haven't started mentoring yet, or maybe you've connected them with a handoff, but it didn't go so well. I mean, we all know that's the reality in mentoring. Not everyone we connect with is going to turn into a fruitful mentoring relationship. Just at our last mentoring rally that we had here at our church, it was really refreshing to be able to hear people who had struggled through a relationship or maybe 2 before they really connected with someone and really had a mentoring relationship that bore fruit and that went to the next generation, where the person they mentored, then in turn went and mentored someone else, because that's what we're really trying to accomplish, right? We want to make disciple makers. And so for people to be able to hear, I'm not the only one who struggles with this from time to time. And these other people have persevered through it, and now they're seeing fruit in these relationships. I find that's very encouraging for people at our campus.
Okay, then the third purpose, John, is training. So you're going to do some follow-up, some ongoing training for disciplers or soon-to-be disciplers.
Exactly. And I think what's cool about this is you can let the people that are in your rally kind of dictate some of the topics that they need the most help with. So for example, at our upcoming rally that we're doing in the next month, we're going to be talking about, very practically, very specifically, how do you first reach out to an individual when someone has given you a handoff? If you do that via a phone call, what do you say? What do you not say? What have you learned maybe to avoid in that initial conversation? Or if you're going to reach out in an email, what verbiage has been most effective in an email to be able to get that person excited to respond and connect with you? So very practical things. One that we did about a month ago was, what are some initial conversations from the library that you thought just were great for an early conversation? And maybe what were a couple that you've picked in the past that you're like, I'm not going to use that conversation again until I've really developed a relationship with the mentee.
All right. So then the last purpose for a mentor rally is simple. It's just to connect. So are we talking about connecting with other mentors, connecting with the pastors? Are we talking about making handoffs? What is connecting about?
Well, I would say all of the above, but primarily we're talking about making handoffs. This is an opportunity for the lead pastor at your church, or if you have an individual who specifically is in charge of making connections, maybe like a lead mentor at your church, this is an opportunity for them to say, hey guys, since we met last time, I've got 3 additional people who are interested in getting connected to a mentor. Who's got bandwidth in their schedule right now? Who's available? Who could take on someone new and help make those handoffs happen, help make those connections happen? Now, the other connections you mentioned, I think, are important as well. It gives our mentors an opportunity to connect with one another, gives them an opportunity to connect with the leadership at their church. That's all good. But primarily, we're thinking of, how can I make handoffs here at the Mentor Rally?
So, John, I would imagine some pastors might be watching this saying, man, this just sounds like a lot of work. It sounds intimidating, especially, given that we in our church, we do this, every month. We think it's that important. Final word for the pastor who's out there saying, I don't know if we're ready to do something like this. I don't even know if we'd have enough people showing up. Why is it worth doing something like this, John?
I think it's a valid question. And I think the honest answer is, it is hard work. But that's what ministry is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus never said it would be easy, right? He just said that he'd be with us. And so it's important. We make time for the things that are important to us. Mm-hmm. If you look at your calendar and if you look at your checkbook, you're going to know what's really important to you. So if mentoring, if discipleship is really important at your campus, again, I think these mentoring rallies can be extremely catalytic. And if you have 3 or 4 people at the first one, that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. It's okay to start small. In fact, I would say if you're in those early stages, that encouragement and that equipping that we talked about and that casting of the vision is even more important, mm-hmm. because you're just beginning to establish that culture. There'll come a time in your church's life where you won't have to create energy for the mentoring rallies. That energy will be organic. It will be an event that people are excited to come to, that people are excited to participate in, but that won't happen right out of the gate. Yeah. It'll take some work. So I would just say to that pastor, and I'm speaking to myself here as well, not every one of our rallies are great, right? I mean, that's just part of it. But just stay the course, be committed to it, have high energy yourself, be excited about it, because that's contagious.
Yeah, so we'll put an info page down below this video that you can download and use. You can adjust it and tweak it and use in those mentor rallies. And we'll also put a sample agenda so that you can see how John typically runs these mentor rallies. But pastors, I encourage you to do it. Do it as often as you're able to. Make it a part of the lifestyle of your church. Make it a part of the regular calendar of your church. And you can become a church that really has a discipleship culture.